Well, hello, With Gratitude, Matt listeners. It's Bill Moran here. I'm Matt's older brother, and today I'll host your With Gratitude, Matt episode. As you know, Matt started this podcast to help people find the courage to be grateful, no matter how powerful the storm is. Our goal is to continue to inspire more people to practice gratitude on a regular basis. Before we get started with our awesome guests today, I want to give you a little bit of an update as to what the foundation has been doing. This summer, we had a toast of gratitude. We had Grant Pashuta as our first honoree, and Grant is a sophomore at Elder High School, and he continues to find the courage to be grateful despite suffering injuries in a fire when he was 12 years old. Grant is a 15-year-old sophomore at Elder High School, and hopefully someday Grant will be a guest on one of our shows, and you will learn from his inspiring message and his journey of service to others. Another exciting note that happened at our Toast of Gratitude was John O'Leary gave a special video message. And our listeners will recall that John was a guest of Matt's. He's also the author of Soul on Fire, which will be made into a movie and come out this October 10th. Without further ado, welcome Tom Cody and Kevin Brennan.
Hello,
Hi,
hello,
Bill.
Bill. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this is my first time doing a tag team effort, and I couldn't ask for better guests than you two. So you guys are part of Top 20 Training. You are host of a podcast. Why don't you just give the listeners a little thumbnail sketch of who you are and why we're talking to you today?
Well, thanks, Bill. This is a gift to support your podcast and your work and your brother's work, especially around gratitude and heart and best foot forward. So that's kind of what we do as a company. We're former educators. Well, we're current educators, I should say. But we're a company that shares tools and strategies that helps folks think, learn, and communicate more effectively. You know, you mentioned storms, weathering storms. We get the ships ready. We get the tools on the stern or whatever boat word you want to use. And then if the person chooses to grab that tool, they can. And that just makes the ride a little different. So I'll let Tom dig into the origin, but we're, like I said, we're educators. We work 85% of our work is in education, but our message has spread to anyone that just wants to be a little more effective more of the time.
Yeah, we crossed paths. Kevin and I taught at the same Catholic high school here in St. Paul, Minnesota, Cretin-Derham Hall. And so I'm one of the founders of the company way back when, Bill. Long story short, I'm a recovering dysfunctional, functional human. I didn't have an outer storm. I had an inner storm. My negativity and my complaining and whining and all that stuff got me into a very dark place. In my late 40s, I got lucky. I ran into a couple that was doing this SEL, social emotional work in companies. Their daughter was in my class. They told me that their daughter hated my guts. And I hung out with them for a week later and just looked at the work they were doing. It blew my head off in a positive way. I got interested. We started a class back in the late 90s. At our high school in thinking, learning, and communicating for kids. It was sensational. It was better for me than it was for the kids, and it was great for the kids. It changed my marriage. It changed my life. It changed my classroom. And then I meet a guy like Kevin, and we run into guys like Mike Need, and I've just had, I have a lot of gratitude for the fortunate events that turned this from something that could have been really lousy. I was headed for a dark place, and this turned my life around. So,
well, Tom, I'm glad you had the courage to take that first step, and that's the hardest one. And also, and it kind of leads into, and again, you guys are the masters behind this, and but one of the things that I pulled out of some of your writings, your teachings, was to help those define their purpose and own it. And maybe Kevin, kind of, dig into that a little bit and what that actually means, and how that helps educators on their journey and how they can better serve their students.
Sure. And this will be for teachers, this will be for coaches, this is for parents, this is for anyone on the street, this idea of purpose. I think, Bill, a lot of folks are really good at operating on autopilot. They wake up, there's the alarm, I got to go do this, I'm going to go then do that, and here we go. Like, for example, this evening, Bill, I'm going to coach a soccer game, okay? And I can go do that on autopilot, and I will focus on soccer, I will focus on refs, I will focus on the time and the score, okay? And that will be fine. But when we say to ourselves, all right, what's this really all about? What's this action I'm about to do called coaching? What's really underneath it? And how can I bring my best self to it to give the experience something completely different? I have to really peel back the nasty, disgusting onion and say, well, what's at the heart of this? And when I know that coaching for me isn't about soccer, but it's more about helping these young men become adaptable, persevering, resilient young men, then I see soccer differently. And if I could see it as more than a sport, now I'm going to operate, make decisions, and interact in a different way that helps kind of remove some roadblocks, not only for myself, but for my players. And here's the thing. Tonight, Bill, if the referee does not like how loud my voice is, if the ref does not like my feedback that I offer, if I can then take a step back and remember what this is all about, what is my purpose as a soccer coach? What is my purpose as Kevin Brennan, the human being? I'm going to navigate differently. And I'm going to weather that storm much differently. And I think just to wrap that idea up in my own head, it's like there are roadblocks that are in my way as a human being. I got these are internal roadblocks, external there's tons of stuff in my way from me bringing my best self. When I can whittle down to know what I'm really all about, what my purpose is, at the heart of hearts, those roadblocks start moving aside much faster, and I bring full force.
Yeah, and hey, Bill, my purpose is I provide meaningful, engaging trainings and materials to empower people to be their best selves and create a positive difference for them and for others. That's great on an airplane. That's great on a poster. Kevin's great until he runs into bumps and obstacles like he just referenced in soccer and life as a dad. What really matters is your purpose keepers. Who are your purpose keepers? It might be Kevin keeps an eye on mine. Find a friend, physical stuff, Post-its, making sure you understand that if you hang with people that share your purpose, you're going to have a way better chance to keep your purpose. But let's get real here. It's gratitude too. This whole podcast is about gratitude. That's one of my best purpose keepers. When I'm complaining about flying on a Delta flight the other night and no rental car and all this stuff, then I realize the opportunity I have to talk to, I probably talked to 50, 60 teachers last week on my trip. I'm really grateful for that, especially at 73 years old.
That's awesome.
I'm about to pull a Mufasa here, I mean, this isn't going to go on. This merry-go-round doesn't go forever. You know what I mean? So my gratitude has gone through the roof these days, and that's one of my best purpose keepers.
Yeah, and I love that word, purpose keeper. So one of the things, what you mentioned a lot of the tools that you use, but I always like to say things happen for you and not to you. And again, Tom, and Kevin, it's so easy to say that, but how do you put that into practice, or what kind of planning do you equip your educators with to take away and use on their daily life, so that when things, when the ref makes a call that you don't agree with, or when a student, is not, above the line or below the line, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but that is below the line, and how do we help them?
Well, it comes down to a handful of things, but one of the biggest things is simply how aware are you of your own inner life? Meaning
great.
what's going on inside you. How aware are you of that? A lot of folks, and these are not bad people at all, I'll put myself in this category. A lot of folks become aware of their inner life struggles, challenges when they're in a mess, or when they've said something they wish they hadn't said, or they responded in the way they wish they had, or they said something to the ref, etc. So when we're working with educators or businesses or counties, whoever we're working with, one of our foundational pieces is this idea of above and below the line. And all that is simply a tool. This thing called the line, it's invisible, but all it is a tool for you to pay more attention to where you're at in that moment, simply in regards to how your thinking's working, how you doing inside. And the whole why behind that is you then have a little bit of information to use in your next moment. How am I? And Bill, it's not about being positive all the time versus negative. It's not about being perfect. It's nothing like that. The line is a tool to just understand where you're at. So then with that info, you can move forward. Like I right now am in a fantastic place. I'm what I'm called above line. My thinking's clear. My heart is feeling great. I'm in a great place right now. So I bring that to whatever I'm going to do next, And if I wasn't, Bill, that's okay too. If I'm below the line, my thinking's a little cloudy. I just need to know that for my next move. So to an educator, they're driving to school and they're going to work with kindergartners. Well, they better know how they're doing because they're going to make some ripples the minute they get into that space.
And Bill, you talked about a specific strategy. Here's one quick one with the line: invitations. Kevin's day is going rosy and he's singing Zippity Doo Dah right now. Great. Good for you, Kevin. Good for Tom. Invitations are coming. You're going to get something in the mail that you don't like. There's a bill you thought you had paid. It's going to rain on your parade. And we're not talking about trauma here. We're not talking about losing your house in New Orleans in Katrina. We're talking about your cell phone isn't charged, or these little things that bump you. So we teach teachers and kids and business people, when invitations come, you can RSVP, yes, I'm going to go below, or no thanks. I'm going to keep my day. Another one of our great sayings, listeners out there, nobody should steal your day. It's your day. Today is September 22 when we're recording this. You don't get more of these. One shot at this today. Don't let the invitations and the bumps get you, because there's going to be trauma sooner or later.
Yep.
But don't let drama with a D take your day.
So three things real
That's
quick.
just a little thing that we share with people. It's life-changing for a lot of people when we share that.
Definitely. And this idea he mentioned about today, he used the words, Bill, keep your day. Little things can steal your day. Little like a nasty text can steal your day. Tech issues can steal your day. Well, today's so precious. Matt doesn't have today physically. Okay. Our dear friend Paul doesn't have today. My mom and dad don't have today. So with that, I'm grateful for today, and I'm going to save my day. I'm going to keep my day. And gratitude's one of the ways we can do that. I'm going to share two real quick things with you, Bill, real quick. And I'll use this in story form. I'm a coach. I went to practice the other day, very true story. And I noticed I was below the line. I received some phone calls, voicemails, walking onto the soccer field. And my thinking just broke, and I knew I wasn't in a great place. I was still capable of coaching and everything, But the team came in, and I literally said this. I said, fellas, I'm crabby. I go, I'm below. And I just need you to know it has nothing to do with you. And then the coach, another one of my coaches, the head coach, jumped in and he goes, hey, team, you hear that? He's below the line. Let's be his trampoline today. And then we moved on. Because a trampoline is something that we can get our thinking back on track. Gratitude is a trampoline. Just hearing my coaching partner say that gave me a little freedom, gave me a little space, and all of a sudden I was flying around that field having a ball. Still my stuff was in there, but I was able to remind myself, okay, what am I all about here? What's this really about? And then we got going. So little tools, Bill, the line, invitations, submarining, that means telling people you're not in the best of places until you can get to a better place, trampolining, all helpful tools for anyone.
And we got 500 of these things, and we'll give you our pitch at the end if you want to get hold of us. But this stuff's good stuff. It's not like Tom and Kevin are this amazing, we're going to go change your lives and preach the gospel to you and change you because of us. It's the stuff that was developed over these 25 years that's the star of our show. It's not us. It's
and I'm going to give you a chance, and this is, if you have done it, it's not bragging, but where have you seen tangible results where you may have changed the culture of an institution, or, helped your clients, your educators become aware of what Kevin was just talking about, where
Yeah.
they were?
Uh, Today is Monday. Friday, I had an oh my God, aha, with 20 people sitting around a table in Elk Creek Elementary School. It's in Newcastle, Colorado, middle of nowhere on the western slope. My 4th trip there. I got to sit on that, what they call their wellness meeting. There's like 20 teachers sitting around a table, and they went around to each one and named something. Like I say, they've had all our content, and they've got our curriculum now. I burst into tears halfway through it. What they're doing for kids, I was, well, each person had something more amazing than one next to them, that they took invitations and panda bears and all of our training, all of our stuff, posters, kid of the week. They give out a stuffed panda, Kevin, each week to a kid, and then the kid has to pass it on to another kid, which is a euphemism for us for helping each other succeed. Holding each panda takes care of the other. I'll skip all that. I'll just say it blew me away. What they're doing is above and beyond anything Kevin and I ever envisioned for this school or any school. They asked me if I had any questions. I said, yes, why am I here? You are way beyond what I envisioned for you. I can't believe that the kids get this every day from these loving, caring teachers who we just gave some more tools to. They're already great, but now they're greater, The other thing that hurt my feelings was I kept thinking of my grandchildren who are not going to get this. They're not going to transfer to Newcastle, Colorado. That's a long commute, okay? I just felt terrible for the kids that aren't going to get this experience that they're getting at Elk Creek. Every kid should have the right to have this loving faculty help them with their thinking and their stuff that they're actually use their whole life.
So is it a culture that, like when you go in and you do this training and you go through these exercises, do you empower the educators top down to implement this, and then the students are familiar with the language, they're familiar with the exercises?
100%. And it all starts with the top. The guy's name is Ryan, the principal, and he's amazing. But these folks were great when I met them. Let's not mistake this. This is just one of those, oh my God, examples where it really blew up. And I didn't even see it coming. I knew they were good. But what they showed me last Friday was, I've never seen anything like it.
And
For
Bill,
K-6 school.
we're not fixers, What we don't go fix anyone, really. That's how we look at it. Just like this podcast, Matt's life, your continuation. I don't want to be so bold to say this, but you're probably not fixers. What you're doing is you're throwing some stuff out there that may be beneficial to someone else. So when we go to work with a school, we ask a million questions ahead of time, and then we start picking from different topics that would kind of, as our business partner would say, create the right conditions for something amazing to happen. That was a phrase Paul Burnaby, rest in peace, used to say all the time. What are the conditions that we need to put in place for something wonderful to happen? And you nailed it, Bill. It's number one, we gotta have a better sense of our inner lives. How can we be more effective, bring our best self more often? Notice I didn't say all the time, more often. And then number two, how are we bringing ourselves to the greater whole of the school, which is the culture? A simplified way we talk about it is like when I go to work, when a teacher walks into a building, they're bringing something, and it's a choice as to what they're bringing. And the collective of what each and every individual brings is felt, and therefore that's the culture. And so we are very intentional to share tools and strategies that build trust, build safety, and feelings of belonging. Because if those three things are present, safety, trust, belonging, your brain changes. Things happen in your brain that are close to what happened when gratitude is expressed. There's great research about what happens to the brain with gratitude. Same thing with these things. And when that's happening, more comes out. Bill, I'm a different human when I feel safe, when I trust people, when I feel like I belong. You know what I mean? The fact that our friend Mike brought us in on this podcast, anything Mike brings in my world, I feel safe and trusting immediately. And so I'm already in a great spot, you know? So the more authentic me is coming out. And that's what we try to replicate in schools. What conditions can we put in place to bring the best them more often?
Yeah, I'll kind of, I really appreciate you bringing, my brother and into this and what he tried to do and what we're trying to continue. But one of the things that he always reminded the listeners was to be aware of what they're feeding their mind, their body, and their soul. And I think that's a lot or some of what you're trying to do in the sense of, and I listened to one of your podcasts where you had Miss Walsh on, and she talked about social media and teenagers. And I think, we could do a whole book on that. She did. I encourage you to listen to or go out and read it. But um, being aware and being present was another thing that Matt said. So where do you see those truisms in your experiences?
Well, it's Bill, it's all about human development. That's what I was missing as a teacher. I kind of knew that's what it was, but I got tied up in parabolas and ellipses and graphing lines and yelling about grades. And I kind of knew that basketball was about human development. I was just not, it wasn't in my front of my lobe here. It was in the background. Well, I put that in the front seat 25 years ago. And so when I run into these teachers in Colorado, or if I run into nurses at a hospital, it's human development, and not just for the people you serve, for yourself. I'm still getting better. I'm a way better grandpa now than I was a dad. And I'm going to be a more phenomenal a year from now if I can keep this in my brain. Human development, human development. And then the idea, I keep thinking gratitude as we talk today about Matt and you and us. It's the dopamine and serotonin that I produce. It's just a chemical reaction when I'm grateful. When I thank people for anything now, and I'm way more grateful than I used to be. I was a mess. I couldn't care less about who was lining my soccer field or the maintenance people cleaning the building. Now I'm going around the building thanking secretary. This is part of my MO now because I get a hit off this chemically, literally. I'm getting high with gratitude. And I don't want to be flippant about that. It's literally changes my brain chemistry and the people that I'm giving it out to. When we teach student leaders, we do 3 G's. We do growing, giving, and gratitude. Stressed on the gratitude. I make every kid take out their phone and fire a message to somebody to say thank you right on the spot. And they look at me like I'm crazy. We can't take our phones out at school. Yeah, take out your phone. It's hiding in your backpack. Grab it and use it for something decent here. Send somebody a thank you and watch how they feel and watch how you feel when you do that.
So your
Human
yeah.
development, man.
So your education really is a journey of a lifetime. That's what my father used to always say, and Tom, you're living it, and that's awesome. Um, I'm trying to, kind of pull from a lot of, and there's, and at the end of this, Tom and Kevin, I really want you to provide the listeners with ways that they can connect with you, and we'll do that at the end. But one of the things that I hear in your talkings and your is that faith is a part of this too, and maybe you can explain that, Kevin, how that is intertwined in what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, like I said a minute ago, we all bring something no matter what we're doing. When I walk to work, when I get to work, I'm bringing me, my whole me. And I'm a man of faith. I grew up practicing my faith, my religion. And I found that really enabled me to bring more of myself out more often as an educator, as a coach, etc. Switched to when I became a teacher. I saw such when Tom mentioned this class was starting, I was a rookie teacher. So I was observing the formation and creation of this course from 2 hallways away. And what I saw coming out of these concepts and principles that Tom and some of the other folks were initiating at the very beginning were in parallel with what I was experiencing with my faith. My faith to me helps me level up. And these tools and strategies help me level up in a completely similar, parallel, but different way. And so I think it's just another piece of authenticity that pushes us to be more who we truly are, you know? And I think that was a big light bulb for me to realize these 2 things in my life, not only the top 20 principles, but my own faith. They were both there just pushing me and elevating me. And that's kind of my experience with it. And we do a lot of work with private schools, faith-based schools. We do a ton of work with public schools. And as a business, we navigate that appropriately. But we often just see these different nuggets become this nice little catalyst for folks based on the right phrasing or the right incorporation.
Hey, I would describe myself as more spiritual than faith-driven, Bill.
Okay.
I want to call to mind Paul Burnaby here. I met Paul. Paul passed away about a year ago. He had a bad run with pancreatic cancer, and we lost him. And it was a big hole in our hearts, in our company, in our finances, in our operations. Paul was the driving force behind us becoming a, quote, company or a national entity. We just thought we had a really neat little class for 9th graders. Paul's the one who pushed us out to the world, and I'm so grateful for him. He taught me so much about gratitude and the spirit. How does a guy like me screaming at basketball refs, yelling at parents, run into a guy like Paul? Well, I can't claim that that's just coincidence or accident. Something's at work bigger than Paul and I to bring 2 disparate people together. I had the stuff, I had the humor, I had the engagement piece. I can hold a room very well of kids, teachers, anybody. But Paul brought the depth, the profound spirit to this. The guts of the program came from Paul. And for that, I'll always be grateful. I got this from 2 other folks doing it business, but Paul's the one that took us forward. Paul's the reason that those kids in Newcastle, Colorado have an amazing experience today in school. It's because of Paul, not me. Paul got me there. I don't know if that makes any sense to the listeners. Kevin?
Well, that's a beautiful tribute to Paul and well-deserved. In talking with mutual friends, our mutual friend Mike Need, Mike said the same thing about Paul. And my only regret is that he's not with us today, but he really is. And in what you are doing and the journey that you're continuing and the mission that you're continuing. And Kevin, I'll let you speak to that too, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, Paul, well, you didn't meet him, Bill, but he is 100% in this podcast right now. You know, Paul said something that shattered me emotionally wonderfully once. I lost my dad before Paul was, before I was really close with Paul and engaged in the company. And I was really sad one night having dinner with Paul, and I just said, I wish you could have met my dad. He was just the best. And Paul just looked at me and goes, I have. I'm sitting across from him. And
That's beautiful, man. That's really powerful.
but that's the point. Whatever comes out of my mouth, I may have heard from Paul. He may have said something that just shook me internally and really rattled my cage to bring my best self out. The same thing goes for my partner, Tom, my partner, Willa, who's not on this call. So yeah, I mean, same thing with Matt, you know, I mean, thank God this stuff that we take from other people, the good, finds a home and then at the right point gets shocked out of us. And so trust me, Billy boy, you've met Paul and you're hearing him today.
I'm happy. I'm glad I am, and I'm glad I'm here. Tom, and you've talked about this before, and one of the things that, and you mentioned it earlier, like, okay, these are great. These are, in theory, I can talk to you guys and we can talk about, okay, let's avoid those tornadoes. Okay, let's get these trampolines in place. Let's get these triggers in place. Let's get what does it take to do it? What is it like? How do you do it?
Well, first of all, Bill and Kevin, you can you can argue with me if you want, but I'm the furthest thing from perfect in the entire history of the universe. I mean, when you get most improved as a dad, as a husband, teacher, it just means you were pathetic to start with. And I was a step above pathetic. I was functioning. I knew how to stay out of trouble. Uh, so let's not say I'm not a finished product by any means, but my awareness is huge. Also, I surround myself with people that remind me. One of them is my wife. I'll complain to her on the phone. Oh, I'm at O'Hare and I've got an hour delay and I might miss my flight. And she says, "Yeah, but you got to talk to how many people today? Did you do 180 people with a microphone? How'd that go?" So there's people in my life that remind me to be more grateful when I'm worried about bumps in the road. I mean, I hung out with Paul Burnaby. Bill, that wasn't my crew back in the 80s. Let's just say. I won't get into the details, but I was hanging with some very negative people, and it formed my habits, and my habits formed my life. So the best way to do this is I call Kevin 3 times a day. Sometimes it's to figure out a flight or a meeting we have, but a lot of times it's just we just keep an eye on each other. So I think that's the number one thing is you got to have a peer partner in this. It's just too hard to do this alone. It's too hard.
Yeah.
It's crazy out there, you know. Look at our current culture in the United States. It's easy to get swallowed up by politics, comedy, some of the nutty stuff going on in our streets. Um, I can't afford to do that at 73. I have to find a way. So what drives me is try to change my environment. That's my short answer to a
It's
tough
great.
question.
How do you avoid you touched on the negativity that is out there and you guys call them tornadoes, which I love that word. Um, and for I'll just give you an example. So, uh, you've got parents and there is something at school, and let's say it's we were not going to get political here, but let's say it's curriculum. And I'm not going to say what it is, but there's criticism of curriculum. Let's say it's how they're teaching math. Okay, right? And then parent number one comes in and says, "Oh, uh, Cody is teaching it the way they did back in the 80s, and these kids are going to not perform well on their tests." And then the next parent says, "Oh, yeah, and Jimmy, well, now he's underperforming in math because of Cody." And then there's a pile on. And how do you teach the parents, like, be aware and avoid these?
Well, I think number one is you start with yourself and you say, okay, whatever I'm going to say in this fray, am I going to be speaking in a way that's problem solving or problem naming? A lot of folks, Bill, just want to name the problems because they like to vent, and we're not anti-vent. Vent's great, but sometimes venting can have a cost. We call it dishonoring the absent. They may be speaking about someone that's not present, and they're not speaking in their best interest. Well, that is completely. It's a trust breaker. It's not helpful. So if you would really want to talk about curriculum, okay, let's talk. But can we do so in a solve manner? And just having that in your head, okay, here they are. They're all talking about the stuff. I have my own opinions on this stuff. Okay, if I'm going to jump in, how am I going to do this? Could I do it in a solve mode or a name mode? And we just got to understand that that is a difference maker in that moment. That's one teeny tiny step. Tom?
Blame. What you just illustrated is another topic we do, Bill, called BLAME. If I'm going to blame Bill for my experience today, I have now taken a tennis ball, literally, my power to make a difference in my life, threw it over to Bill. Now Bill holds the power to make a difference in my life today. America is addicted to blame right now.
No
It's
question.
Republican, Democrat, vaccinated, unvaccinated. Everybody else is at fault. And so we all sit and wait and wait and wait till the other people fix our life. The number one thing about gratitude is it's the anti-blame game.
Yep.
It's the antidote for blame. Is if I can instead thank the person for their point of view. I don't like your point of view. I don't agree with your point of view. Thanks for sharing that. Literally, and I don't mean rhetorically or fake. I mean literally, I don't agree with this, but I'm not going to be held hostage to your beliefs today.
Mm-hmm.
We got so many of these things, and we'll give you the info how to get hold of us.
Right. No, that's
And I want to say one more thing on the heels of this conversation is too, Bill. I think it's important for people to understand what their norm is. Is it normal for Kevin Brennan when he's around parents to bring negativity, to bring problem naming, to stir it up? Is that normal? Well, for some folks, it is. It is not my norm. I'm not perfect. I fall into it plenty of times, but when your norm is established, like, okay, if I'm going to complain to Kevin at the soccer game, he's likely going to do something called ask me questions. Paul said to me once, he looked at me, he goes, Kevin, lead with curiosity. And that's stuck in my brain. And so when someone stirred it up, I just started asking some questions, like authentic questions.
Yeah.
I'm an honest, authentic human. And sometimes that shifts it a little bit, because sometimes people just don't even realize they're on autopilot so much that they're doing something completely pointless. Like Tom said, blaming or complaining or stirring. We don't need to agree with everyone. But if we bring some curiosity to the table and we remember, what's my purpose? What do I want to bring to this moment? It can change. No, it will change the experience of the moment. It may not make everyone agree. It may not solve a huge problem, but we're big on experience changes. And when I'm aware of that, what I bring, I will change the experience. And that's just going to be a catalyst for other things.
Let me add this to curiosity. And if you're driving a car and listening to us right now, pull over, because this might hit you right in the brains here. 73 years on this planet, I don't remember a time where I created a problem by being curious. I just don't remember. Maybe I have. I don't think so. But I've created a lot of problems when I don't have curiosity. That comes straight from Mr. Burnaby. It rings true in my head every time. I just don't create problems when I go with that attitude, And
in a way, it kind of disarms the complainer. It kind of like, oh, wow, okay, you want to actually learn more. You want to be informed. You want to be present. That's great. No, that's beautiful. Well, I could talk to you guys for hours. And I, not just saying that, I'm learning so much. I want to be respectful of your time. How can listeners learn more about Top 20 and how to engage your awesome team?
Great. Thank you. Well, again, Bill, thanks for having us and giving us the platform to show our gratitude and how we express gratitude to the world as well. So easy way to get more info about us is www.top20training.com, and the 20 is numerical. So you can find resources for education or outside of education with our topics about our team. We have a lot of products. We have books. We've written a number of books that have our content in it geared towards educators or geared towards absolutely anybody's. So the website's a great way. On socials, we're just at Top 20 Training, Instagram, X, whatever you're noodling on. We also are very much a human company. So you can do this thing called email us and we will call you info at top20training.com. One of us will respond. We'll give you a phone number. We'll be text buddies or phone buddies. And here comes to curiosity again. We have a lot of conversations that don't lead to absolutely anything other than mutual benefit in a conversation. So if someone just wants info about us, come on, give us a call. If you want to know how we can help your the county that you work in, bring it on. Schools, bring it. We're up for it. We work with adults, teachers, administrators, coaches, parents, healthcare workers. I don't think there's someone we haven't. Lawyers. I'm going to be working with a judicial system this week. We're all over the place, and we're up for it. That's big time, right, Tom? We're up for it.
Well, yeah. If you email me and I don't answer you immediately, I died. So send flowers to Judy.
Well, check with me and
No,
I'll
I'm
validate his death or not.
Yeah, I mean, we're not like some company where you have to go through 17 prompts to get to customer service. We're just three of us with our cell phones and 5 books in the back of my car in case somebody wants to buy one.
Well,
We're just regular folks, so call us up.
yeah,
Bill,
but
I want to thank you before we go too.
no,
You don't
thank
know,
you.
you don't know us. You don't know. Mike Need says we're good guys.
Eh,
But I thank you for your leap
ah,
in this part of your day with us and
Big.
getting this out to your audience, which is different than our audience. And I would say this to people listening: get out your phone, send somebody a text today of gratitude. I'm challenging you to do this. I don't mean maybe. I mean hit send. And watch, they're gonna write back right away, go, "What's wrong?" What? Because people aren't used to this. Why are you texting me? Well, because I love you, because I'm grateful for you
that's
in my life, you know?
it's beautiful. Yeah, well, and I appreciate you bringing your true, authentic selves. And I don't want to. You guys are. You bring a little humor to this, which I really enjoy and appreciate. But I also, this is such an important topic, and if we can help. This sounds so sanctimonious, but if we can help our youth, it's better for us. I mean, it helps. The positivity keeps rolling, and it makes our lives better, richer, fuller.
Fact.
So
No, you're
it's
right, Bill.
what
Who's
you're
gonna
doing is great.
Bill, who's gonna cure cancer? It's not me.
No, not our
It's
generation.
that
Nope.
kid from Elk Creek, Colorado. Who's gonna solve global warming? Who's gonna run for governor? So
Amen.
and
Yeah.
fix this mess we're in.
And
It's
and
these
and
kids.
and who's gonna have a act of kindness in the grocery store? You know what I'm saying? Who's gonna pick up the piece of paper on the street? It it is not cheesy, but it is cheesy. It's if we don't put our hearts and minds and efforts into creating something special for the youngsters that are growing into the people that are gonna run this ball we're on, we're in trouble. But that's the great thing. I'm so grateful for educators and folks in all sorts of positions that are doing the hard work right now. And I would put this podcast in the category of
Wow.
doing the hard work right now. And
Well,
big gratitude. We're going to go to Matt first. So thanks to your brother and thanks to you, Bill. This is
thanks.
really special to be a part of it. And our
Yeah.
boy Mike. What up, Mike?
Yeah. Mike's been great, and he's been here the whole time. It's just been great. Well, guys, I could talk forever. Like I said earlier, I want to thank you again. We'll put all of that information in the show notes. I challenge our listeners to do what Matt always reminded us: find something that you're grateful for, regardless of how powerful the storm is. Be truly present with those that you are with. Pay attention to what you're feeding your mind, your body, and your soul. Again, a huge thank you to our guests, Tom and Kevin, for helping others and for joining us today. To our listeners, remember, if you've been inspired, motivated by this show, subscribe, download it, share it with friends, and comment. With gratitude, Matt listeners, until next time, find the courage to be grateful. Godspeed, my friends.